Hello there, and welcome to another edition of Conversation Collage, coming to you here from Wenatchee, Washington, USA, the apple capital of the world and the buckle of the power belt of the great Northwest. I'm Ken Johannesson, your host, and thanks for being with me. Appreciate it. We're going to talk to some interesting people. We'll talk about the things they're interested in, and at the end of this, maybe you'll learn something. We'll start off talking about food safety and how new technologies are revolutionizing the food supply chain. You know, we just passed World Food Safety Day. That was on June 7th, and it was created by the World Health Organization to draw attention and inspire action to prevent, detect, and manage foodborne risks. You might not realize just how common foodborne illnesses are. In fact, the WHO estimates that 1 in 10 people fall ill due to foodborne diseases each year. Centers for Disease Control in this country estimates that about 48 million people get sick and 128,000 are hospitalized from foodborne diseases each year in the USA. And not only that, there is no single end-to-end view of food delivery. Well, now here comes IBM with their Watson computer, and they are able to find new ways to put technology to work to add traceability to the food supply chain. And we talked about this with Suzanne Livingston, who is the director of the IBM Food Trust Network.
Hi, Ken. How are you?
I'm fine. Where are you today?
I am in Massachusetts, just northwest of Boston.
Okay, well, nice. Hopefully it's, am I too soon in saying it's getting somewhat back to normal or something close to it, or am I a little off in my thinking?
It's open, yeah.
Okay.
There's more is opening up, more businesses, and there's certainly more traffic, so
good.
It's getting better.
That's good to hear. Well, let's get talking about the about our food and traceability. The IBM Food Trust Network. What is that?
Yes, well, the IBM Food Trust Network is a network created by IBM, but with a group of companies who want to bring safer food to consumers, and has expanded from that original group. It's a data sharing platform where the food companies are able to see traceability back to the source farms and source producers, so that they know in the event of a food safety incident where food products are and how to get them off the shelves quickly.
Okay, so there's, up until now, I suppose, there's been no, am I correct in saying there's been no way of tracing from the very beginning to the very end, from where it starts to where it ends up in my house or in my mouth, for that matter? There's been no way to trace where it goes from each at each point of the journey?
Right, so there have been a lot of tools to help with traceability, but what we really needed was a way to get companies to share that traceability data in a network where they're all connected, so that way we could see the full end-to-end visibility. And that is really where the gap has been. A lot of companies can trace, one-off within their own organization with one company that they do business with, or one step up, one step down, but they couldn't see the whole end-to-end. So blockchain has given us a way to create the trust needed to get those food companies to share data, even if they are in the network with competitors.
So tell me how this blockchain technology works in the supply chain. What does it do?
So with blockchain, when you submit data, your data cannot be tampered with. You can't edit it. No one else can edit it. And you continue to own it. It's a distributed ownership of data. So the data that you submit is data that you own. And then we added even more security on top of traditional blockchain, where you have access control on every single record you submit. Like, I can share that I am shipping a pallet of, let's say, apples to you, and only you see it, and anyone you sell that to sees it. So that level of security and visibility enabled trust, and that's what we get from blockchain. Blockchain has been used in a lot of cryptocurrency examples. You hear a lot of news regarding that. but it's also enabling supply chains, like what we're doing in food, so that you have the record of all transactions related to a particular product.
What type of foods are being used for this? What's being traced?
Yeah, so the system is capable of handling any type of food, whether it has one ingredient or 10. It doesn't quite matter. But the food companies who are coming on board and joining are ones that really span a number of different types. So the very first cases that we had of companies joining were around produce and romaine, leafy greens, where we saw a number of food safety incidents over the last several years. They wanted to be able to reduce the amount of time that it would take to find food products that are recalled or that are contaminated. So that was one. We have companies like Dole and Walmart and Albertsons who really joined to facilitate faster traceability and recalls. Then we have food products that are global, like, for example, Kore Arctic, who produces salmon in the Arctic region of Norway, and they sell that salmon in Whole Food stores here in the U.S. Now, a lot of consumers have a lack of trust in seafood. 1 in 5 seafood products is mislabeled, and they're using our platform to show that they're traced back to the source, that they have the exact products that they are selling or what they claim to be, and also showing how those salmon are raised and practices alongside it. So seafood, produce, meat, eggs, some dairy, you name it, we've got a number of products on.
You say 1 in 5 seafood products is mislabeled? My dad was a crab fisherman back in the 70s. The blockchain wouldn't have helped. It might have helped him had it been around back then. But I'm curious, how is seafood mislabeled? That seems to be like a human issue.
Sometimes it's a mistake. Sometimes it's intentionally a mistake to get a food product purchased. I'll tell you, we had a company in Massachusetts here, New Bedford, Raw Seafoods, who they produce scallops, and one of the reasons they found us was because when they sell their scallops in the market, you as a buyer don't know the difference between their scallop and the scallop next to them. They look the same, they might weigh the same, they might have the same quality rating, but you don't know that they actually have gone so far as to invest in proper equipment and processes and enable traceability. So they wanted to allow consumers and restaurants who buy their food product to trace, so that you know exactly what food product it is that you're buying, when it was harvested, who was the captain on the ship, and even more videos about the process that they use. So that's one of the examples where a food product like seafood, they have decreased sales over time because consumers just don't trust that it is what it is. And now we have a way to show that trust back to consumers.
And that could also be a branding opportunity for seafood as well, because if it's from this brand, that it is safe and it's been responsibly harvested and fished and whatever. So there's a branding and marketing opportunity there as well.
Absolutely. So we started with the food safety teams, but we have seen a lot of interest from companies who are marketing their food products. In fact, one of the food products that's in our system, they promote it as being born on blockchain. It's a Tunisian olive oil company. I certainly didn't know before I met them that Tunisia had one of the best conditions in the world for growing olives, and that they already are in a lot of olive oils that are purchased in stores. Well, they wanted to let consumers know that Tunisia is a great place to grow olives. They show the process they have their farms on. They show the way that they do flavor profiling for consumers, and all through videos that they share, in addition to the blockchain data to consumers. And that is, certainly to help with the brand and also help consumers know that the locations that they are claiming to be are indeed the locations that they're from.
Right. And back to seafood here for a second. I mean, there's really no major brand when it comes to fresh seafood. I mean, there are brands, but mostly they're for frozen products. But this can help build a brand for the fresh seafood industry as well. Suzanne, where does this go from here? What's next for this this type of technology?
Yeah, there's so much that is being utilized for food safety, but also for improvements in the supply chain and storage and insights on the food products. We are seeing more with consumer traceability, so expect that as you go into stores, you can take your phone out, and if you see a QR code, open up your camera, put it on that QR code, and you can see the journey for that food product. So that's what we are enabling now with different food products. And then, of course, it's a difficult time for many food companies who are affected by COVID. Many companies need to find new suppliers. And so we have a component of our product which is centered around certifications and documents. We're making that available to food companies to use for free until August 20th to help them get through this difficult time. It's also a great way to find new suppliers and make sure that they meet your standards. So please take advantage of that, and you can find that on ibm.com/food.
I was just going to ask, where are some websites that people can find out more about this? And I guess you've just given me one.
There you go. And there's also good information there about the product, like demonstrations and client videos as well.
IBM.com/food. Do I have that right?
That's right.
There we go. All right. Suzanne Livingston, I thank you for a few minutes out. Best to you in outside of Boston. Hang in there.
Thanks, you too.
Suzanne Livingston there, who is director of the IBM Food Trust Network. And I should mention here that consideration for our chat with Suzanne Livingston was provided by IBM. It's Conversation Collage coming at you on your favorite podcast platform. We're on just about all of them, and we'd appreciate it if you can review us and like us and rate us, and also find us on Facebook and also on Instagram. We are on Conversation Collage Podcast on both of those platforms. And also tell your friends about us. We'd appreciate it if you like our show. Spread the word, all right, and bring more people into the tent. Logan Callahan knew the sexy lady lawyer was trouble. He just had no idea how much. Lacey Carmichael is not new to the so-called kidnap and ransom game, but she wasn't counting on having her nemesis along for the ride. So the Callahan brothers story continues, and that is the synopsis, although brief it is, of the new novel called Smash and Grab by an author who is very interesting lady. Her name's Lori Matthews, and this is, I believe, the second installment in the Callahan Brothers series, and we talked about all this and other things with author Lori Matthews. Lori, where are you?
I'm in New Jersey at the moment.
That's home base for you?
It is.
So how many books have you written?
So I've actually written 5.
Okay.
I have 2 out. The second one comes out today.
As a matter of fact, it is out. Smash and Grab, right? The hot new novel, the Callaghan, and I'm saying that right?
Callahan.
Callahan. The G is silent. The Callahan Security Series. So what gave you the idea to get into this?
This series, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to do all kinds of bad things? To write the Bad Girl series instead of the Bad Boy series. And I thought about all the things I like to do. At night when it's dark and people don't close the curtains and you get to see inside their house?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking. Wouldn't it be fun if you're a thief and you get to walk through people's houses? Just in a nice way. I don't want to be creepy, but in a nice way. And I thought that would be sort of a fun thing to be. And I just went from there. So this series is about women who are bad girls, meaning they're on the wrong side of the law, and the fun things they kind of get to do.
Ah, okay. Good deal. Now, your novels have generally been, I guess, thrillers with a little tinge of romance in there. Am I kind of on the right track?
Yes. We put them under romantic suspense because there is romance, but they're really more of an adventure thriller. I would compare it with, the